everybody. Candy here from Scatter's Homestead. So it is another day of just preparing for the Christmas break. Sheldon is going to be taking some time off with me, and we are going to be preparing today just with a lot of different things. So I wrapped the last little bit of gifts, and so we have gifts over here. They are all ready to go. I really love my simple decorating that I do on my Christmas gifts. This paper that I have here is literally, it's just a paper that I can find at the secondhand store that is leftovers from one of our printing shops. And so I just get a massive roll of that stuff, and then I wrap it up, and then I just finish it off with simple yarn. Every single year it's different yarn. But this time I picked 3 different colors and I just kind of worked with them. So you can see here, right here, I have 2 different colors of green. And then this is one Sheldon wrapped. He put a nice simple little red piece of yarn on there, which I think is super sweet that he would actually go out of his way to put some kind of yarn on there. And then I have some here that's just a double yarn, 2 different colors, and that's it. And so all the gifts are wrapped. They are under the tree. So that was one thing I wanted to get done for today. Also a lot of cleaning and a lot of organizing. And so I grabbed all of my carpets. I had a front door carpet and I had a carpet in front of the sink. And those carpets were getting really nasty, and it's weird. This last night I was sitting up, I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about, I need to shampoo those carpets. I don't want to go buy new carpets. So I went and I decided my carpet shampooer sucks. It's old and it just doesn't have the suction that it used to have. It doesn't spray like it used to spray. And so what I did was I used my bathtub and I just rolled those carpets up in there and I started scrubbing on them. My fingers seriously hurt. Not as bad as when I was working with brick, but they hurt because I was scrubbing on those carpets. So they're clean, they're now in the basement and they're drying. But I'm making another mess behind me here. This is something I've wanted to do for a really long time. I have wanted to move some of my plants over again because I do have plants that have been struggling. The soil is rock hard, it's not even alive anymore. So I just wanted to take all that dead soil, I wanted to mix it up with new fresh soil, and then I wanted to replant some of these plants. As you can see here, if we walk over here, you can see this plant here. This is actually, you can see the bulb in there. This plant is, what is it called again? Amaryllis. So an amaryllis, usually you're supposed to time it out so that you can get it for Christmas, that you can get it to bloom for Christmas. And I just kept pushing it off, and I never put it into the basement. So with an amaryllis plant, what you need to do is once a year, you just need to take the plant, you need to chop off all its big stems, all its big leaves, and then you just bring it down into the basement, put it underneath your sink, something like that, just where it's dry and where it's cool and it's not getting a lot of light. And so that's what I was supposed to do probably back in September, October. Even November, kind of would have been pushing it, but I would have been able to get blooms. So this plant was actually like voluptuous. It was just huge and it was wonderful. And slowly but surely, it really was showing me, I'm done. And it started wilting. And so I've gone ahead already. I've chopped off all of those stems that were on there, but I need to take that down to the basement. But here's my problem. As you can see, it still has a lot of plants in here. And this is something that I do every single year is I will fill up this pot. So the amaryllis, it's so huge, it needs a nice, big, heavy, sturdy pot. So this is literally a clay pot and it works wonderfully for the amaryllis. I don't need to hold it down with any weights that it's like tipping over or something like that. But I do have all of these spider plants in here. These spider plants, They're actually coming from that spider plant right over there. That spider plant, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see there's a bunch of young ones just hanging off of it. Those are the ones that I will now take, and I will pull them off of there and I will plant them into the soil. And this is usually where I put them, just to fill out the pot a little bit. And so in this situation, I am now running behind on everything. And so I'll have to put that amaryllis down in the basement, which we will do today. And then I need to take all of these plants out and I need to pot them somewhere else. This spider plant right here, it's pretty big. That one is actually one from last year. So this one's about 2 years old. And look at that, it has babies of its own as well. So they're doing really well. I don't know what I should start doing. Maybe I should start selling them. I don't know, because I just have a ton. But anyways, so that one is happy. That's great. But these right here need to go into a different pot so I can move that amaryllis down. And then I'm just going to do some cleanup. That pot looks really terrible. I'm going to do some cleanup, transplanting, all those fun things. So you're going to come along for the ride. So I'm looking through, I have this pot. I'm going to replant this one into probably a much larger pot. And then I have a couple of pots, and I was thinking, this right here is actually like a worn out candle, and I thought it would be cute if I'd plant something in there. So I'm gonna do that as well. So here's my bowl. I've already mixed up soil that is out of order. It's dead. And I've mixed it up with some fresh soil. So this is ready to go into pots, and then we can start just repotting some plants. So I got this plant here from my niece, and it looks like it wants to give me new leaves, but I have neglected it and there was a lot of yellow leaves on it. So I've already taken those off, and I am now going to plant it. It went from a pot this size to, we're gonna move it into something just a little bit larger. And so let's get that filled up. And so all I'm doing is I'm just gonna put that plant right in there like this. I've just put some soil into the bottom just so that these roots have a place to go. And now I'm just going to fill it up around the sides. And this is a great way to do it so that you're not actually wrecking the roots or disturbing the roots at all. You really don't want to disturb the root system. You want to give it kind of its original home, but you just want to expand it. We're just doing some expansions here, which is really helpful for plants. So there we go. We've got one done. On to the next one. Again, as simple. Just gonna get that root system in there and fill it up. This job's a messy job, but it's a quick job. So that's good. So while I'm planting and replanting some of these plants, I wanted to talk to you about my community garden, and I'll put some pictures in here so that you can see and get a little bit of an idea of what this community garden looked like. So this last summer, I would say it's spring, I had a really terrible situation, very frustrating. I went out of my way. I spent a whole entire day planting my garden, which for any of you, if you know my situation, that's a big deal that I planted my own garden. But I worked hard. My mom was along. You guys all know Mama. She was here too. My mom was alongside me, and the two of us worked ourselves silly trying to get my garden planted. Then within about a week, we had a ton of rain. Like a ton. And my whole entire garden flooded out and I had nothing left. So I had to go back to the stores, and now you have to remember, I had planted everything myself. I had gone ahead and I had started in end of or beginning of April, end of March, and I had gone and I had planted all my seeds. I had all my tomatoes going, I had all my peppers going, and all of those died. They all flooded. And so I was forced to go into the stores and to go buy seeds or buy plants myself. These were all pre-potted plants. So I went ahead and I went to all the local stores and I gathered everything that I need. And I was quite surprised because this was towards the end of June. I was quite surprised at how much stuff was sitting there on the shelves. With all that stuff sitting there on the shelves, I started wondering, what are they going to do with all of these plants when they come to the end of their season? And they're at the end of their season. It wasn't like there was people around me shopping. I was shopping because I lost all my plants. I would have never even thought to go and to buy a bunch of plants now at this time of the year, end of June, beginning of July. I would have never done something like that. And so I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these plants. And again, it was, one of those late night, middle of the night ponders. And I woke up the following morning. It was early morning. Sheldon and I were out on the road, and as I was looking out to the sun rising, I asked Sheldon the question, why are greenhouses and all those places, so there's like, in our local community, there's Canadian Tire, Walmart, they all sell plants. Why are they not making some kind of green space? Why are they not going ahead and making a space where they can plant the stuff that they're not selling, and they can go ahead and they can actually serve people who really need vegetables? There's so many people in need, and they need vegetables. They don't need items from boxes and cans that will never rot, because obviously it's very processed and it's not really healthy for them. Ooh, this stuff is dry. I need to mix this up. That was very dusty. So I'm sure you're all saying, yeah, Candy, that's a really good question. Why wouldn't they do something like that? Yeah, why wouldn't they? Well, that's fine. By the time we got to our location, I had already asked or said to Sheldon, why don't I contact some greenhouses and ask them if I can take their items and I will plant them for those in need. Well, the following week, I contacted a local greenhouse. It was actually a nursery. 1 second. And I asked them, what are you doing with with all your plants that you're not selling? And I'm not talking about plants like flower plants. I'm talking about vegetables. What are you doing with your vegetables? And then I just gave them the offer that if you all said and wanted, I would take them and I would plant them, and then I would grow them for people in need, for the community. Can you believe they said yes? Right away, they said yes. They said, we are going to give you 75% of everything that's left over. 75%. So what does 75% mean? Sheldon and I were kind of flabbergasted and kind of in the unknown. It's like, do we need to expand our garden or do we not need to expand our garden? What are we going to have to do? So we waited. We were not going to go get the plants till the following week. And so we waited. We did not till up any soil, nothing. I just grew, I planted my garden, and I actually took my garden and I just like smushed it into like one area, because I was preparing. It's like that area can hold the rest of this garden, this community garden. And if we have to, we'll till a little bit more. But I think that will hold everything. So the day came, we went and started collecting the plants, and after the third truckload full, we had to cut it off because we didn't know where we were gonna put this stuff in the future. Like, we don't have all this garden space, and how much garden space are we making? And so this wasn't nearly 75% of what was left over in that greenhouse. It was only what we could actually take. So we ended up taking some peppers, tomatoes, we took cabbage, we took some cauliflower. It didn't really go over well because it was quite mature and they don't like to be transplanted. We took some herbs and we took some different types of squash and we came home with that. We spent the next entire week tilling up space because when it was all said and done, we had about 500 tomato plants to plant. We had over 300 plants of peppers. We had about 300 cabbage plants. Like, it was incredible. It's like, what are we gonna do with all this? So we went and we tilled up our yard. And it ended up being a success. We grew, we harvested, we donated, and 100% of everything that we could salvage, we were able to donate to the organizations in our local community. It was amazing. It just took me for a loop. I did not know this was coming my way. Right now, with all my health issues, it almost felt like I had to let go of everything, and now this was coming about, and for some reason it was just working. We had other local community businesses get involved. We had this company called Healthy Straw. They donated straw so we could cover the soil so that we didn't have to water as much. We weren't weeding all the time. They were such a great support, and we were able to give a ton of vegetables away to people. I'll make sure I have a ton of pictures here for you to see. So something that I want you to know in all of this, I had never dreamt up something like this. I had never planned for something like this to happen. This just all kind of fell in my lap. I asked a simple question, and from there, we are just moving on. So this season is done, but we have another season to come. And I felt like it was obvious that this was something that was in my future, and it didn't feel like it was something I was doing. It really felt like this is something God is doing, and He's showing me I have much more to live for, and He wants to do great things here on our property and for other people, and I'm in.